So last day we have seen the types of data under which we discussed discrete data, continuous data, and the categorical data. Categorical data had a subpart called binary data. We have also seen that. Now today we will be discussing the technique to summarize the quantitative data graphically. And to use this, to summarize this data graphically, we need a tool that is called histogram. And we will use different types of histogram, that is frequency histogram, relative frequency histogram, and density histogram. So let's discuss it one by one using an example. Okay. So our first example would be, as we have discussed earlier, how to summarize a set of a data depending upon the type of data. So let's take a look of an example. We are taking a sample of 40 female statistics students. Okay, and we will see how many times they cried in the previous month. So we will take 40 samples, 40 female statistics students, and we'll see, the question is, how many times did they cry in the last month? So our data is 953, 953, 2632, 234, 2844, then it is 50302421122130, right? That's 213022341115. So total is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18. Okay, the total is the 40 sample we have written down. So that is, one student reported having cried 9 times, right? So we, from this data, we can see one student is found crying 9 times. So let's see. You can see the. Please note it down, and we will see and take information from this collection of the data. Right? Please note it down. Now, what we have seen is one student cries 9 times, right? Other thing is 5 students were reported having cried not at all, that is 0 cries, right? And it's pretty hard to draw too many conclusions about the frequency of a crying for female statistics students without summarizing the data in some way. So of course, we need a common way of summarizing such discrete data, and the way is a histogram. So what we will see under this histogram is, we will just write a frequency histogram. You all must have studied it in the higher schools, how to draw a frequency histogram. And the way of doing is to make a x and y axis, and accordingly plot it. So it is 0, and now here it is, let's say 5 and 10, right? Now here it is starting from 0. Let's take from 0, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. Okay, So we saw that number of student had no cry. We are representing cries on this axis, and this is the times, that is number of times that they cry, that is frequency, right? So let's see the number of cries. So 5 student had no cry, that was 0. So 6 student had one cry, right? And 11 of them cried twice, 2 times in the last month. So 11 of them cried 2 times in the last month. Then we could see that around how much, let me count it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. It's 7 of them who had cried thrice in this last month, 7 of them. Now, again, the 5 of them has cried 4 times. Now, accordingly, we could see that 3 of them have cried 5 times, and 6 for 6 it is uh, 1 student cried 6 times, and 7. No one had a 7 cry. So 1 student has 6 cried, 8 cries, and 9 cries. Right. So this is what is called frequency histogram. We plot it in this way. Now, how we have drawn this, we will see the process of procedure to draw a frequency histogram. We all have already seen, but what we have seen that this is 0, this is 5 cries, this is 6, this is 11, this is 7 cries, again 5, this 3 cries, 1, 1, 1. So what all conclusion we have drawn from this histogram uh, is there were 5 students had no cry. Then there were 6 students who had one cry. There were 11 of them who had 2 cries, right? There were 7 of them who had 3 cries. Now there were 5 students again who had 4 cries. Accordingly, we will see that 3 cries, there were 5, and 1 cry, there were 6, 8, 1 student, 1 each. Let me write it, 1 each at 6, 9, and 8 cries, right? So this is what we concluded from this histogram and the previous data that we have collected over here. This is the data that we have collected, right? And from this we draw a histogram, uh, from which we had draw a histogram and concluded this things, right? So let's see what is the procedure for drawing a frequency histogram. Let me tell you that as we can see, this histogram has a nice picture of a distribution of a data, right? So in many ways it's pretty self-explanatory that what are the notable features of the data. Well, the picture tells us that the most common number of times that a woman cried in a month was 2, right? And the number ranged between 0 to 9. Majority of the women, that means we can calculate it is about 22 out of 40, cried 2 or few times, but a few cried as much as 6 or more than 6 times. Now the question arises that can you think of anything else that this frequency histogram tells us? If we look another sample of 40 female students, we would there would be a frequency histogram of a new data that will look that will not look as same as this above illustrated histogram. So can you create a series of steps that a person would have to take in order to make a frequency histogram? So this is what to answer this question, we are going to see the steps that we will be required to do what? To draw a frequency histogram. So our step, so to create a frequency histogram, we would be, the steps that we will be taking are first is to determine the number of samples. That is the number n is in the sample. So, second thing is to determine the frequency. Determine the frequency fi of the each outcome. Right. Now the third is to draw it. The third step is to draw, and to draw it we need a, let me write it, please note it down. We need a center, a rectangle with a base of 1 unit at each observed outcome I, right? And make the height of the rectangle equal to the frequency. As we have done it over here, that we made a base of 1 each, 1 unit each, and then we made a rectangle using this equal to the height of, the height was equal to the frequency, right? So this was the last step that we have seen. So first is to determine the number in the sample, right? So to determine the number in the sample, we how to determine the number in the sample? We first need to write that, we need to first tally the frequency of each outcome. And how to tally that? Let's say the number of times that they cry, right? Then we will tally, right? And then will be the frequency. So this is the 3 columns that we will make. So let's start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Maximum it was 9. So the tally will start as 0 for 0 it was 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll write 5. Then for 6 we will again calculate it. That will come as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and a 6. So this will be 6 for 2. Similarly, for 2 it was 11. We will draw it accordingly, and let me write it directly. It was 5. It was 3, 1, 0, 1, 1. So this was the main thing that we will see. Just a second. हेलो, हाँ जी मैम. जी मैम बोलिए. गुड आफ्टरनून मैम, बोलिए. जी. जी मैम.